Welcome, I'm the Deadwood Jedi. This is another Raid Shadow Legends video, and I have yet another Demytha comp for you guys. This is an unkillable team, again, brought to my attention by my mods in the Discord. I'm not sure who came up with this. It looks like a variation on a couple of, on a build that's kind of been out there for a while, so I don't think this is necessarily anything super unique or different, but it is a very cool comp, and it does work with Demytha on Ultra Nightmare and Nightmare as well. There's a little trickiness with the Nightmare version of this, but it's a very cool build. It's going to use Maneater this time along with Demytha. You are going to be able to have a 4/3 champion as your DPS, which is awesome, as well as two other DPSs going at a 1/1 ratio. So this is definitely has a lot of potential damage wise and team building wise. So I'm going to show this comp now. I guess before we get too into it, shouting out the Patreons, got to give them the love always. And then on top of that, I do want to kind of let you guys know this team could be doing more damage than it is. I built it, and you know, I've been using Draco in the last couple, so I figured let's mix it up a little bit. And I didn't bring any poisoners in. I thought that would be kind of fun. We'll try something a little bit different. But I did bring in Geomancer because I thought that might be fun to get a kind of a sense of how he is after his rework, his quote unquote rework, you know. And so we're gonna go ahead and bring him in here. So there's no poisons going on. So there's a lot of damage we could be adding just by having like a Draco type of champion in there. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at the damage results compared to the other builds. This isn't as optimized. It's also not going as fast. So I don't expect the damage potential of this team to be nearly as high as the other teams. 2-1 ratios just do stupid damage, guys. When you can go that fast, it just makes a huge difference to your overall totals. But we do have a fun team here. So let's go ahead. I'll show you the champions real quick, show you how the build works, and then we'll do the run. Okay, this is the team that we're running here. Now, this team, actually, kind of like all the teams we've shown, can be set so you can run it on auto, which is pretty dope, always fun. So full auto from the start is always nice. Now, we're going to show you the Ultra Nightmare run, and I will talk to you a little bit about what happens in Nightmare where you have to be a little bit careful with it, just kind of like an FYI thing. But let's go ahead and look at the champions real quick, how I have them built, so you have an understanding of what I have going on here, and you can kind of, you know, extrapolate what you would have to do to get this kind of damage. So I am running Jintoro as our lead. He's just an awesome champion, very fun. So when I have the opportunity to use him, I try to. In this case, he's going 260 speed, or 160 speed, excuse me. Very slow speed, which is awesome. I was able to pump up his rest of his stats because of that. And then we also are going to bring in, let's see if I can find her, Kreela Witch Arm. She's going to be our 4/3 ratio champion. That means we will have increased attack, increased crit rate the entire fight. I did not take that into account when building these champions, the crit rate part of it, but I think you're going to get the idea of how this team works. She's going at 224 speed. I think is the minimum for her to get to that 4/3 ratio result in this. And then the very last DPS we're going to have, as I said before, is Geomancer. We do know his kit got changed, so he does do proc the equivalent of Giant Slayer. I didn't change his mastery, so his masteries are still Giant Slayer as well. Putting him in War Master is probably going to be the beneficial thing. The strange thing about that whole situation, he's probably stronger now than he was before, and he was already a little bit OP. So that's fine. I guess with the boost, he's going to have 100% crit rate. So we have that incorporated for him at least. 179 speed is what we needed for him. And then after that, we have, let me just make sure his masteries are good. Yep, they're all great there. After that, we're going to bring in our unkillable champion. So that's going to be Demytha. As we know, she's going at a very slow, very reasonable 171 speed. I was able to pump up her attack, crit damage, crit rate and stuff. So we're going to get a better chance to see what she does damage wise, but again, she still only has one attack, so I'm not expecting a lot of damage out of her. And then we're going to have Maneater here. Maneater, of course, is a beast, and he has to go very, very fast for this comp. He's basically going on a 5/3 ratio. It's very difficult to get there. We don't have any speed boosters, so he just has to get there with raw speed. 286 is what we need for that. So it's definitely a doable number, but it is a little, you know, harder to get to that kind of a total. I don't have them built for damage. I just wanted to get to the speed so I could show the comp off. So just so you guys are aware. Yeah, so here we go. We're going to go ahead and run this. Like I said, you can set this up to be a full auto team. You just have to kind of set the presets, and basically it comes down to Demytha. We need to make sure she uses her channel bloodline, the block damage one, as her third attack. That's the big thing. So other than that, we just need to delay 2 turns. And Maneater, we're going to have to delay 1. Again, this is for Ultra Nightmare, not Nightmare. On Nightmare, I think the the turn order is slightly different. I will have links to both of those in the pinned comment and description of this video down below. So great thing, I don't have to do anything. We can just watch it kind of run. You see the initial start as we get things going. I do have a little wait there for Geomancer getting its HP burn up just so it comes at a more opportune time before the AoEs essentially. And it does work even with block damage. We're not reflecting damage, but we do get chances to get those Giant Slayer procs going when it does happen. You will see those as this run goes along. And it's a very effective team, right? I mean, we have basically Jintoro, Geomancer, they're both going on a 1-1 ratio, so every turn they're getting an attack. We have Kreela going on a 4-3 ratio, and she's taking her double turn along with Maneater in between the AoEs. And basically that allows her to just get more attacks in. It's a good thing. You can have any DPS at that spot and it's going to benefit you. But of course, some DPS champions benefit more than others. A lot of the ally attack champions in particular seem to do really well in those spots. Champions like Kreela and Fats, especially because those are usually on 4-turn cooldown. So now you can get a more regular extra attack in there and just have that happen more often. So, but anybody would have benefited from this. Geomancer, Jintoro, any of them would have been a good person to have here. You could use a Feign in this role. Anyone can work. It's a really solid team. And because we're going to be lasting 50 turns, without any worries, this is going to be a pretty easy 2-key team. When you can do 50, I mean, if you think about like the budget Unkillable team, that's a 2-key Ultra Nightmare team, potentially. You know, that everyone's going at a 1-1 ratio. You actually have somebody going at a 1-2 ratio or 2-3 ratio, taking 2 turns. They're losing a turn in the whole course of things. Well, in this, we're eliminating that, and we're actually having someone take an extra turn. So it just has a lot more damage potential to it. The speeds are very reasonable for everybody except for the Maneater. It's the only one that has to be extremely fast, and that is the hurdle you have to get to make this worth it. You can see our damage isn't the same as we were doing on the other teams. We're not going to be doing 1-key damage with this team, but it is still very, very effective. You can imagine add on another 15 million or so from poisons, maybe even more than that, maybe closer to 20, and all of a sudden you can see this can be a very, very effective team. If I brought Draco in, for example, instead of say Jintoro or instead of like a Geomancer, I think we would be doing incredible numbers. But as it is, we're still going to do really, really good, I think, over the long haul of this. So it's a pretty simple team. Sets up really easy. Basically, Demytha is going to go last off after the stun, and because of that, she's going to place block damage. We're going to be able to survive that first AoE. After that, Maneater takes a double turn, and then he's going to place block debuffs as well as Unkillable. That's going to let us stay affinity friendly throughout and also stay unkillable. And then the very last turn before the stun, everybody takes 1 turn, allowing the Unkillable buff from Maneater, the block debuff buff from Maneater to extend all the way through the stun as well. So we don't have to worry about affinity. We don't have to worry about dying. It's a pretty simple thing, and it syncs up very quickly as well. Now against Nightmare, there are some caveats. The 4-3 champion, they actually go last between the AoEs. Now, Maneater's Unkillable ability is a 2-turn buff, so that part's not going to be an issue. The part that might be an issue, though, is the stun, because it'll fall off before then for that 4-3 ratio champion. So if, for example, we had Kreela in our team, we were using this, we want to use the same team, same speeds work on Nightmare, we'd have to make sure that either Kreela was strong affinity, so she wasn't getting the stun, or at least the stun was going to someone else. Now, there's ways we can make this work. We can put Kreela in lifesteal gear, ensuring that she always has a full health bar. That'll make it much more likely that the clan boss is going to try to stun somebody else because they want to hit who's weakest, right? So that probably would be my number 1 suggestion to avoid it. And the other thing we can do is just make sure somebody else is the stun target by giving them by making sure they don't have life drinker, right? Ensuring that only healing they get is going to be from Demytha. Now that's a little trickier. Maybe we have to give them an immortal gear set or something like that, but considering the amount of buffs you have, her A2 can do enough healing to make sure that the clan boss will still stun them. Remember, they have to have at least 15% HP, actually a little bit more than that. So I generally say at least 16% just to be on the safe side, but they need to have a certain amount of HP in order for the clan boss to ignore the Unkillable buff and still try to stun them. So that is really important to keep in mind as far as that goes. So it's tricky, but definitely doable all the same. The other thing you can always do is just bring somebody that's weak affinity as one of the other DPS champions, and then the clan boss will likely go for them instead of Kreela. You won't have to worry so much about that. But yeah, there's definitely some ways to get around that. This is a very, I think, versatile comp and very good, and I'm excited to see what it can do. So let's jump ahead towards the end here, and we'll see the final result. Pretty good result, right? 54 million. I'll be honest, that was way more than I was expecting, to be honest with you guys. I was expecting a lot less damage, so I thought that was incredibly successful. I mean, just imagine bringing a Draco in instead of, I don't know, Gintoro maybe? I mean, that's probably another 10 million, 15 million. I mean, it's a pretty close to one key at that point. That's pretty ridiculous numbers there. I mean, we can look at it. You got 13 million from Gintoro, which is very good. 18 from Geomancer. Clearly, he still works, guys. And then another 10 from Kreela. Demytha did 6. Maneater did 5.5. I mean, you know, it's a very good team. Honestly, Demytha hits really hard. Her multipliers are really good. It's just a shame she only has one attack, really. But yeah, it's a very solid team. Works really well, obviously, for all affinities. There's not much more to ask for. So that's the team, guys. I mean, a pretty successful run, a really awesome team. I'm really glad I'm getting all these comps shared with me, so I'm able to share them with you guys. I think this is a great option for people if you're struggling with unkillable teams or struggling with your clan boss teams in general. I mean, unkillable teams are great. So if you have a Maneater, yes, you can use Demytha. If you have a tower or somebody like that, you can absolutely use Demytha as well. I'll try and build one of those before I run out of time, but I'm trying to show all the unique comps that I can while I can on the test server. And then I'm sure there'll be more of the traditional stuff, the teams that we already know. Trying to fit Demytha in those shouldn't be too difficult, honestly. She has a 3-turn cooldown, right, on that skill. If you don't book her and keep it at a 4-turn cooldown, or only book her to a 4-turn cooldown, I don't know how many books that would qualify for, but then you could use her in place of a Warcaster in any comp that Warcaster's in. I mean, still 4-turn cooldown, still a block damage debuff or buff. It works the same kind of way. So yeah, she's really incredible. I mean, very versatile. I think 100%, guys. If you should fuse her. 100% you should fuse her. I like Sigmund the High Shield, as someone corrected me. It's not the High Tower. I really like him as a fusion champion. I think he's very good. And I think for a lot of accounts, he is going to be a better choice. But I think for most people, Demytha is going to be the one you're going to want to go for. I mean, just super versatile, very good. And just imagine if you had 2 of her. Gads, right? It's going to be, those will be some fun videos to make. Let's put it that way. In any case, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this. I definitely enjoyed building these for you and showing them to you. So that's all we got for today. Hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell so you know when the next video comes out. And it's going to be tomorrow. But yeah, that's all we got, guys. So till next we meet, I'm the Deadwood Jedi.